Hello, this is Kate Osborne. I teach at a community college. I teach composition. This class happens to be English 098, which is called Developmental Writing. And I'm creating this video so that my students can see what I do, how I'm thinking as I correct a paper. I'm also going to be using something that I developed called a hot sheet. And this is created so that the students can itemize their errors in a peer situation or individually, or I might do it myself. So I'm going to look at the first aspect of this, and part of what I require are the 5 steps of writing. The first one is to do the developmental stage. In classical rhetorical theory, this is called the invention stage, in which the student would investigate him or herself the topic given. So this topic is a practice paragraph to get them into the swing of writing a paragraph, learning the organization, learning some of the corrections, grammar, style requirements, and things like that that I might have. And the first aspect is to do the investigation, as you see here. Now this student chose the clustering pattern. I'm not real happy about using clustering, but it at least gets them putting something on the paper. They like to do it because it's fun. They get to draw circles and they get to spread out. It makes them feel like they have a lot of content, and sometimes they really don't. In this case, you can see the student just wrote little words very quickly. Maybe she spent 5 minutes on this. I prefer a different clustering method, which I will elucidate in subsequent videos to this one. But as you see here, I wrote on her first step of writing the paragraph that she does need more details. One word is not going to be enough. This student turned in her paper late, and so I also said, please go to the tutor before typing. Well, as we see, she went straight to typing. I have no idea what went on in between. Okay, so I require 5 steps before they even present me a typed page, which is step 5. So she skipped steps 2, through 4. So I don't have any of these steps, and so I can't really know where this paper came from. I don't see her developing it, so that kind of casts a little bit of provenance issue upon the paragraph. So we will be looking at this later. Okay, so let's start to grade the paper. So the first error that I'm going to put down is, I'm going to make a 1 and I'm going to circle it. Did not follow directions. And the rule is always follow directions. So they'll have to make that correction on their own. So as you see, we have on the hot sheet, we have an error column, the rule if they write it down, and if it's a sentence or a punctuation concept, or perhaps they can go into their textbook and put the page in which they find the information here. They can make the correction kind of their own thing. Okay, the second, her MLA is fine. I'd probably put a little O here since it is English 098. Okay, all her MLA spacing is fine, and this is her second error, indent paragraphs. All paragraphs, sorry, this got a little messy here, should be indented 1 tab. Okay, so I'm going to go like this, and that would mean to move over to one tab what the student is doing here. Okay? All right, there are many hobbies that I want to do for my free time. This is a second language learner. She has come out of an ESL program and has now entered the big time English class. And so I would probably underline this, okay, and I would put a K over here, meaning that the phrasing seems to be a little awkward. Okay, so that I want to do for my free time. I think that there are many hobbies. I do many hobbies in my free time. So that's what her phrasing should be. I don't like students starting with there are, so I'm going to say no, there are. When you use a there are introduction to your sentences, you invariably have to support it with a relative clause describing what it is that you are doing. So I like to have a good subject verb approach. I don't like to have indefinite aspects beginning the sentence in the subject position, which should be in the beginning of the clause. There is no subject. Okay, so they are cooking, shopping, and hanging out, but cooking is the best of my favorite hobby. Okay, here we go again into phrasing, and I'm going to give her what the standard would be in English, but cooking is, you can just say but cooking, really simple, is my favorite hobby. She has used the superlative adjective best correctly, which is excellent. Good job. Okay, but I'm just going to simplify it into this phraseology. Okay, and she has her comma here, so she's bringing two clauses together well. She's using commas to separate independent items, so that's excellent. So in terms of sentences and syntax, she's doing a pretty good job. I enjoy cooking because it keeps me happy in my life. Okay, here we probably have a verb situation here. I've noticed that sometimes my students, when they are bridging into another language, such as the one that I teach, which is English, and I've experienced this when I was studying French, that you hang on to safety verbs. You hang on to verbs and you make them work harder and do more things than they really should. So I think what she needs to do, I'm going to put vocab down here, and I'm going to say use more descriptive verbs. So instead of it keeps me happy, this one's not as strong as I would like, but perhaps say makes me happy. Okay, and I don't know if in my life is something that we really need, because if something makes you happy, you are living your life, so you don't need to tell the reader that I'm living my life. So we can just go make me happy and stop there. I'm going to insert the period, simplify, the syntax. Okay. All right, so we're going to take that out. And I'm going to refer also to the same correction there. Whenever I feel sad or upset, okay, so I think number 7, upset, I believe should be one word. So the student would want to check in the dictionary. This is an instance where the computer is not going to tell you that. The students rely on the computer a great deal. The computer is actually pretty dumb because it doesn't understand the sense or the semantic depth of what somebody is trying to say. So it just sees the word up, it's okay. It sees the word set, you're cool, and it keeps going. So upset, I believe, is one word. Check the dictionary. And that's what I would tell the student to double check with the dictionary. Okay, so we're continuing to make our hot sheet here. Now, once again, the student has exhibited some really nice comma construction. She's got her subordinate clause preceding the main clause. She's got a comma. It looks great. Cooking makes me feel better and comfortable. Okay, good sentence. And let's see, we're probably going to find something else. I started cooking when I was 16 years old. Wonderful. Okay, now, because my mom went to Europe for 3 months, so I had to cook. Okay, this is very common. I see that my students will use the subordinate conjunction, and then in the main clause they use the coordinating conjunction with the comma. Okay, they don't need this right here. I'm going to take that out, and this is going to be hot sheet item number 8. Okay, so what is the error? You cannot use the subordinate conjunction and the coordinating conjunction in this type of structure. Okay, I'm going to add sentence structure to that just so the student sees exactly what I'm talking about. So because my mom went to Europe for 3 months, comma, main clause, I had to cook. Okay, so she doesn't need the two conjunctions. I find this very common in some of my ESL students who are bridging into English. They're still kind of blending their thinking, and this may be a construction that's in the original language, but her sentences are overall pretty good. I didn't know cooking before, so it was difficult for me to do a lunch and dinner for my dad and my brother. Okay, so she's got good construction here. She's got a compound sentence. She's got her comma and her coordinating coordinating conjunction. I would want the students here, we're going to put here, do not use contractions. Contractions in formal writing. Okay, so spell that out. Now, cooking before. Okay, now I'm going to ask here, like, this would be number 10. I'm going to write a number 10 here. Okay. Before what? Okay. So I didn't know cooking. I didn't know cooking, or I didn't know how to cook. Okay, so she's trying to kind of go back and remember that beforehand she didn't have cooking skills, and all of a sudden now she has to cook. So in the phraseology, I'm going to put our phraseology here. I didn't know, I'm going to put phrasing. I didn't know I did not know how to cook. So I did not know how to cook. So cooking, how to cook. So we're going to use some adverbial elements in here and the infinitive verb instead of using the gerund as the entire idea. So it was difficult for me to do a lunch. Okay, you don't do a lunch, so we're going to put, again, she probably has her safety verbs that she hangs on to, and she makes them cover a lot of activity that they're not necessarily designed to do. So it was difficult for me to, so we want to change our verb. Verb not strong enough. You don't do a lunch and dinner. You want to, let's say, prepare. You can upgrade. So it was difficult for me to prepare, and then we don't need this particular article. So I'm going to take this article out. I'm going to write down here, no need for article. In this case. I always have to say in this case or in this sentence structure, because if you say you don't need an article here, they tend to take that as a global statement for anything in their writing. And there's learning when to use an article, when not to use an article in English, and that's what we're doing. So in this case, or in this case or sentence. I'm going to write this down here. Now I'm running out of some room, so all I do is I just draw an arrow and then I put a direction over. Okay, so we're going to flip this over and we're going to go to item probably 14. Okay, so for lunch and dinner for my dad and my brother. Okay, now she doesn't have to repeat the possessive pronoun my twice, but there's no, that's a matter of style, and right now I think she doesn't need one more mark on her paper at this time. Okay, I had to ask my aunt many times when I cooked. Okay, now in here I would probably like to see a transition showing cause and effect. So I'm going to put down number 14. Use a transition to link ideas. Okay, so maybe she wants to put like so, or she might want to say therefore if she feels a little more. So we're going to use the coordinating conjunction as an introductory note, like so, and then there's a little comma. I had to ask my aunt many times when I cooked, or you can say therefore, or she can say as a consequence, comma. I'm more conservative with my introductory phrases, so I like to have commas whenever possible because it simulates natural speech a little bit better. Okay, now, but notice again, the student has very good sentence structure. She knows her syntax pretty well. I had to ask my aunt many times when I cooked. Great. The first one I made, okay, now here I have this pronoun, okay, and I don't like my students to use indefinite pronouns, things that don't really say much. So one, what? Now it's obvious probably to you, well, of course, it's a meal. Well, sure, it's a meal, but I want the student to be explicit, because if people force verbs to do more than they should do and rely on pronouns that don't explicitly say what they want, that's not a good skill to strengthen their communication. For instance, if she has to write a letter to some government agency, or she wants to write a letter as an application, then she probably isn't going to get very far because she's being too vague and too obtuse with the use of her verbs. So one, what? Be clear. Do you mean a meal? Okay. The first one I made is fried rice. Okay, now she's probably, since she hasn't done all of her steps, I don't see an outline. I don't see the rough draft, handwritten, double-spaced, one side only. I don't see the step 4, the editing process, and then the handwritten revision. I rely a lot on handwriting. I know it sounds extremely old-fashioned and boring. I think some students think that, but it's really not. It overlays and overlays the learning process. And when you have to physically, with your hand, construct the words, then you're going to create a deeper learning. Learning theory states that you need to do something, most people need to do something about 7 times in order to really kind of learn it, for it to be in an accessible memory bank for those people. Some people learn extremely fast, some people don't. So I'm going to kind of circle that. And verb tense. So I think there's more than just a verb tense situation going here. She's just sort of telling the story. I mean, she's got some good structure in here, but I would like to see the outline. I would like to see the rough draft. I would like to see the edited copy, because that would have been taken out in the editing process. Use past tense. Okay, so that was going to be number 16. It's not too bad, but not too easy for the first time. Okay, it's not too bad, but not too easy. What? So I'm going to ask a rhetorical question here. Again, I probably know what she's talking about, but it's not the reader's job to put content into the thing that he or she is reading, because you might put, he or she may put the wrong content in there. And once people put their own content into something they're reading, they tend to believe that's what you wrote, and you didn't. So I'm going to say, what? Too easy. What? Now, for the first time, here again is some phrasing. I'm going to write down phrasing here. It's not too easy. Let's see, it's not, let's say, too easy. A dish to prepare. See how I'm bringing in my verb again? I'm indicating what it is that may be too easy. A dish to prepare for the first time. Now she can use for the first time. And so she needs more. Okay. Okay, so for many times cooking. Okay, this is probably a very first language kickback. Okay. I think what she needs to do is say, for many times when I began cooking. Okay, so we're going to say phrasing, and then I'm going to offer her this example. For many times, or she might even take this one out, optional to take out. Many times when I first started to cook. We tend to use gerunds instead of the infinitive verb. Sorry. When we're talking colloquially. And so I want to encourage the student to go back to the more formal infinitive verb use. So many times when I first started to cook, comma, I like to put my commas in triangles because it makes them pop out for the viewer, and the student sees them working and connecting things. It felt easier, and I started love cooking. Okay, here again she is going into her first language. Okay, so we're gonna offer her some more phrasing help here. I felt easier. I'm not quite sure exactly how to phrase that. I'm not in her mind, so I am trying to kind of read her mind a little bit. It felt easier to do. I think so. For many times when I first started to cook, I felt it getting easier, comma, so here we need a comma. We're going to put that as 21, and this is going to be 20, so 21. I'm going to go back over here, add comma, to separate two main clauses. Okay? Okay, I felt it getting easier, and I started to love to cook. And I started, or she wants to be colloquial, I started to love cooking. To love cooking. So on this student, I'm going to pull her aside and we're going to talk about it, the infinitive verb, as I don't see a lot of use in here as much as I would like to see. Okay, cooking is the best thing that I usually cook for my family. Okay, here I think she's probably getting a little fatigued and she is going more into her first language. So cooking is the best thing that I usually cook for my family, relatives, and friends. Again, her commas look pretty good except for this one over here. And so one is not going to be a detriment to her grade because I think that was probably just an overlook error because she's used commas so well before. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. Cooking is the best thing. Okay, the best thing. What? She kind of needs to explain what that means. So we have, this is number 22. Okay, so we want to put down phrasing again. So cooking is the best thing, like the best thing to do, the best thing I've learned, the best thing I know. I'm not quite sure. Is the best thing I have learned. I'm going to probably say that. I'm going to offer, do you mean cooking is the best, let's say instead of thing, let's say skill. Let's give her some more vocabulary. So I'm going to say thing, 23, so 23, thing. I'm going to go back here, interrupt myself, thing, what? Do you mean skill? Cooking is the best skill I have learned. So we're going to leave out, we're going to have invisible grammar here. I call it invisible grammar. We're going to leave out the relative pronoun, and we're going to connect this relative clause without the relative pronoun. We do that a lot in English. They're fascinated by this idea of invisible grammar. It's very fun to find it. Cooking is the best skill that, or you can take out the that I have learned. Okay. That I usually cook for my family, relatives, and friends. I think I want to put a period there, and I want to label this separate. Sometimes I write some directions directly on the paper. Separate these ideas. Okay, so number 24. I'm going to add a period there. Pick up sentence in 23. Pick up sentence idea in 23 with this sentence. Okay. As a result, so she needs a transition, and here's our nice comma here. So here's the transition, and then here's the main clause. Okay. As a result, I usually cook for my family, relatives, and friends. So I'm just going to start it here, da 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 da, and then she's going to finish that, pick that up. Okay, my parents are so proud of me because all the food that I make is so delicious and healthy. That's a beautiful sentence. It's a wonderful compound sentence. It's got a subordinate clause, it's got a relative clause, a main clause, it's got a good subject verb complement. It's just a great sentence. She did a really pretty job there. I'd like to see this eradicated again, so I'm going to put down this as number 25. Okay, and I'm going to say avoid beginning sentences. Sometimes this with there are, so I'm going to kind of fix that so the student can see that a little bit better. It's hard to look into the camera. No, and I'm going to be nice about it, so I'm going to make a smiley face out of my exclamation points. There are many jobs that I have to finish in my day, but I never forget cooking. Okay, it is as habit in my life. Okay, here we have more phrasing. Okay, so we have number 26. Phrasing. Do you mean? So I have to ask the question. I don't want to, I mean, I have offered, here's an example here. You know, I've offered these examples of how they might rewrite those sentences. But here I am asking, do you mean it is a habit in my life? I never forget cooking because it is a habit, or it's become a habit in my life. Do you mean cooking? And I don't like to say use the word it, so I'm going to put what is it? I don't like too many indefinite things, especially in the developmental stage. Okay, do you mean cooking has become? Give them a little more present participle verb development. Okay, has become a habit. You can just say that. Again, in my life business. Here, she's got in my life up here. She's got in my life. So this is something I think that is kind of in the first language that is popping out. Okay, and that's okay. We all have these little things. When I studied French, my French teachers were having paroxysms of migraines. When I was learning French, I'm going to number these pages and put her name on it later, protect her privacy. Even though she's given me permission, I want to protect her name. Okay. Why say this? Okay. Period. I can cook every day. Now notice she's got every day is 2 words. Good job. Okay, because it's every day, as in every single day, without complaint. I can cook every day without complaint because I can relax after my tired jobs. Okay, I'm not quite sure what this means. So let's see, what number was I on? 26, and I'm going to go to, sorry about that, 27. And again, I'm going to put down phrasing. Do you mean I can never forget cooking as it is my habit in my life. I can cook every day without complaint because I can relax. How about because cooking relaxes me after a long day of working. Okay, now that's changing it. She did mention jobs up here in her paragraph, and she's mentioning jobs again, and that's good because I asked them to, repeat themselves, but I'm not quite getting the idea. I can cook every day without complaint because I can relax, because cooking relaxes me, after a long day of working or a long day of work. Okay. Cooking is the best thing that I feel, and I say, notice up here, she said, cooking is the best thing that I usually cook for my family. She's got the same construction down here. Cooking is the best thing that I feel happy and relax in my life. So this whole thing here, this is going to be number 28. And again, this is phrasing. She's trying to combine her cause and effect thinking, and she's trying to use the relative clause to explain something. So again, I want to, do this. So phrasing, cooking is the best thing. Do you mean? Cooking is the best activity I can do, and again we're leaving out the relative pronoun there to link these ideas, can do to be happy or feel happy. I actually like her first verb better. To to be or feel happy and relax. I'm going to let this infinitive marker here too handle both verbs, so she has to decide what she likes. And then she doesn't need in my life again. No need for that. So she's going in my life, in my life, in my life. So she doesn't really need that because we know she's living a life right here. Okay, comma. So I will be willing to cook every day. We need to split that up. 29, 2 words in this case. So two words in this case, or this sentence. So I will be willing to cook every day for my family and all of the people that I love. So we need to put in, number these. So add article. Now, before I had told her to take out an article, now I'm telling her to add one. She's going, oh, what's the difference? And I say, well, you just have to kind of see enough examples and it sort of sinks in. There are reasons, but sometimes the reasons get more complicated and it adds confusion. Add article, the. And this is optional to use the object pronoun there. You can use that, but for people we usually use whom I love. Okay, so the structure is okay. Mostly she has phrasing. The punctuation isn't something I'm going to emphasize that much right now. I'd rather have her working on the content, the phrasing. Since she has a natural understanding and she's had some good training in her previous classes, she's got some good organization. I'd like to see her be more definite in her use of nouns and stay away from too many pronouns and nouns such as thing or stuff or thing. We use these kinds of words colloquially because face to face people know what we're talking about. So we can just say this thing and we know we're talking about a book or a car or a dog. But on paper, thing doesn't translate very well because there is no context. You have to create the entire context in the paragraph as you're writing. This paragraph has to stand on itself as a complete communication document. Okay, so I'm going to put a little comment here. Overall, pretty good paragraph. However, please study my marks and comments with your tutor. Now we have the tutoring center. It's called the Success Center because we want everybody to be successful. And I want the student to review everything with the tutor and rewrite it by hand with corrections put in there. Double space, one side only. Write new, double space, one side only. I never let them write on two sides except for their hot sheets. Okay, and this will be due, let's see, October 10th. But she's getting very late. She's missed a couple days and she's behind. So hopefully we get this very nice student and her ideas about cooking into her, into shape so that she can write her real paragraphs better. She's going to be writing expository paragraphs, analyzing in cause and effect, comparison and contrast, process, definition, things like that. So she can focus her mind on those analytical aspects and the construction of those paragraphs. So this isn't untypical for the beginning student coming into developmental writing. They'll be going into an expanded class next semester unless she drops or something. And there's no reason for her to drop if she maintains her attendance at this time. And then they'll be going into English 100 transferable units, and I hope that she's very successful and she achieves all her hopes and dreams. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can always email me at Kate Osborn, KateOzbirn @yahoo.com. Again, that's OZBIRN, Kate Osborn @yahoo.com. And we'll look forward to hearing from you if you have any comments illustrating the ideas of the rhetorical approach and editing and things like that I'd like to go over. So hopefully you enjoyed this and we'll tune in next time. Take care. Bye-bye.